Yes, whose question?
Right here.
Yes.
Gold and silver investment.
Oh, man. There's a book I recommend everybody to read. It's called The Only Investment Guide You Ever Need. It's written by a guy by the name of Andrew Tobias. He's a liberal, forgive him, but he's right. It talks about every type of investment you can think of. Is it a hoax if it's not? It's a good book. I read it when I was in my 20s, and it's still very relevant. Every couple of years he adds what's current, like crypto and all that. I'm a huge silver guy. I have a safe that is, it's like a refrigerator full of silver. I buy 1 ounce bars. We know there's less silver in the world than there is gold. We know there's a ton of gold, but silver's a lot less. And silver used to be much more valuable than gold, but it changed. I hold a little bit of gold, but not much, because I just don't, it's artificially held up anyways. But silver is used in processes, and I know for a fact. So what I suggest everybody to do is buy yourself $10,000 worth of silver, or $5,000, or $2,500, or $1,000, or $500. Put it away. But if you do happen to do $10,000, at one point in time in your life, that $10,000 will turn into $250,000. But it's going to happen overnight. It will just happen. Go ahead. No, I buy it. He's asking what do I buy it in. Go ahead, say it again.
How would you buy the silver?
1 ounce bars. I buy it from silver houses that sell it because it's guaranteed to be real. There's a whole underculture about fake silver. I like silver coins. Now, in the past, one of my favorite things would have been, were called, they're 1 ounce gold coins. And they were called, God, what were they called? Cougarans, thanks. And you travel the world with them. You literally could cash a Cougaran at a haircut place, a barber, particularly in the Caribbean. But, all of a sudden you've got you can't trust anybody anymore, so you can't do that. But silver's I buy it because I like the way they stack. I do have a lot of coins, but I buy them in series, and I just did that one time. I'm just gonna wait. Okay, next question. Don't be scared.
Well, this is kind of going back to budgeting.
Yeah.
Because, so we're great at tithing, we're great at giving offerings, but I think maybe it's just my family. I feel comfortable when we have a little bit in savings, like we're talking $500. My husband wants to always be blessing, giving, but isn't there some wisdom in having a percentage of savings?
That's a very interesting question. I come across this all the time. There's times I couldn't give because I needed to build up my war chest. And because I did it honorably, God blessed that war chest. But your husband lives by great faith. That's amazing. But, that's saying that he's doing the wrong thing. In God's eyes, it's not the wrong thing. But,
No, I'm not saying he is either.
yeah. What's the logic? The formula is build up a nest egg, because rainy days do come. And it's, even God will save you from that, but it becomes a more difficult situation. Yes, talk him into, of course keep giving, but less giving, more preparing, and the multitudes will come out. Yeah, I know a guy that gives is 100% of his income, and God blesses him. That's, but he doesn't have anything. But I think if you have a family and expenses and things, I think it's being responsible. God follows the order of you can't go against the Bible. When anybody challenges me in business, I think quickly, biblical, what's it biblical? And then, remember, it takes a second to sometimes convert business logic to Christian logic, right? Like, what would Jesus do, right? But usually it happens very quickly. I'll go, oh, yeah. And it's usually the same attack, particularly when I'm trying to negotiate on something and I'm reducing the cost of it. They sometimes like to throw out there, God, you're so greedy. Yeah. Greedy? I'm not being greedy. Just because they know I'm a Christian, they try to play that card. And I go, no. What it is, I don't want to be rude.
You don't want to give because you just want to have a little.
Yeah.
Can I help you out also?
Oh, please.
Okay. One of the things that you can do is also you can have a giving account.
Yeah.
And when the giving account is done, you don't give.
It's a great
And you
idea.
have a savings account. So like my wife and I, we have, 4 accounts. And we have a giving account. It's what we can give is in that account. I mean, your tithe is your tithe. But then after that, your offering. So when that's tapped, it's tapped. It's not, I don't pull from the things that pays for the bills. And so so literally I went to the bank and we opened up more than one account. We have, 4 accounts personally. So I have 2 savings and I have 2 checking. Does that make sense? So you set up, this is the giving account. And then you can tell your husband, go hog wild. But when it's done, it's done. You got to have $5 left over, and that's it. But the other one you don't get to touch.
Yeah, I have a
Does that make sense?
It's actually a really good idea. I mean, I forget, I do that all the time. For instance, I have a vacation account. I just put money into it to the day I want to go on vacation. And actually it's not really a vacation account anymore because I just stack it away. It's gotten to be a pretty big number because I keep just occasionally throwing $10,000, $15,000 into it. But you become good at saving. You're able to do things. And there's a difference when you have worked hard to put it away. And when you give it to someone for a cause, you will see the empowerment and it comes back in such a way. But if you're just doing it to do it, and I find a lot of people give without consideration of knowing. It's different when God tells you to give. I mean, you just know it. I lend nobody money. I give money because that is complexity, the human condition. I mean, all of a sudden, everybody's asking. One of the side businesses I had is I have billionaires that have cash flow problems that are friends. Yeah, it's odd, right? Well, they overextend. Even billionaires do it. Their money is not liquid. It's not they have $1 billion. They have $1 billion in assets. Sometimes they need a couple $100,000 for the weekend. So I penalize them 30% a day, because I can, and they got plenty of assets to back it up. So, but it's just logical to me. I mean, you guys are. These are some pretty big figures, and you wonder why. I started to do it with people in the music business. They would overspend, and they'd come to me and say, hey, can I borrow some money? I go, sure, what do you have as collateral? And they would my favorite one is this brand new, in 2018, it was a brand new Range Rover, super turbocharged. Unbelievable, it just came out, 550 horsepower. He's a car guy. And this agent came to me and said, he needs to borrow $40,000 for the weekend. That's his weekend expense. And it was a rapper. And I said, sure, just give me the deed and the car. So they towed the car to me. He was in Atlanta, and I'm in North. It's about 4 hours. So they bring the car over, the deed. I give him $40,000. A month later, the agent calls and says, hey, here's the $40,000. Pick up the car, they come take it away. A couple months go by, same guy calls me up and says, hey, he needs $40,000 again. I go, sure, but this time, let's just leave the car in Atlanta, let's put it in a storage unit. And, because I can see the cycle coming. So, a month goes by, this is for 1 month, 40,000. So basically, what I was doing was I was charging him $10,000 interest. And So now I'm in the month 2. Now I've got $20,000 of profit, and I've lent him. Now he's holding on to $40,000. A couple months go by, he asks me again, and I send the money. They park the car. My guy locks it in there, and I forget all about it for like 2.5 months. The only thing it reminded me is my accountant said, "Hey, you got that storage unit in Atlanta, and you know, are you gonna keep going?" Go, "Oh crap, there's a car in there." So I call the agent up, and the agent says, "Oh, I no longer represent the guy because he's gotten insolvent and he didn't pay me for my commission and stuff." So I go, "Well, how to get hold of him?" He goes, "I don't know. I mean, I'm mad at him." So what do? He goes, "Well, keep the car." It was a $140,000 car I got for $10,000 because basically, it was $30,000. He, yeah. Anyways, lending money is complex. I just have fun with it. But I could have gone bad, but I always ask for collateral. And it's not a bad thing to ask collateral because it keeps, look, if you give people without earning things is one thing. But to do it, just to do it and not feeling the call of God to it, I think is an injustice to the individual. I teach people, I have a job for anybody. Anybody wants a job, come see me. I'll give you a job. But you're held to a standard that most people can't keep up. You know, I have a rule. If you're on time, you are late. A lot of people have a hard time with that. Right? I mean, be on time. You don't want it. And I look at you. I just sit there and look at you for like 15 minutes. And they wonder, why is he looking at him? Oh, he's been late. So, anyways, I get off bar a little bit. But anyways, who's got another question? Oh, sorry. Where were you? Forgive me. We won't forget you.
Thank you.
I love this guy.
Yeah, thanks. So what would you say to someone that has most of their assets sourced from China? And that's basically the basis of my business is acquiring materials from China and remarketing them, relabeling them, and reselling them.
Amazon?
At a higher price. Yeah, on Amazon.
Great. Wow. Made a lot of money?
I wouldn't say a lot in your standards, but I mean.
No, but just a
100.
profit's a profit.
Yeah.
Okay. So his sourcing all comes from China.
Now, is that a bad place to be?
No, it's going to dry up.
Okay.
And you need to just find a new source. Just look domestically for the same product. It's not that easy. I'm still connected to China. I can't wait to get out of there because I really know who they are again. So, I have to import certain parts and pieces. Certain of the products that I have are, there's no manufacturing in the States to do it, so I've got to do it there. They hold a lot of our technology. But Vietnam, Mexico. By the way, the Chinese themselves want to get out of China. Once they've tasted capitalism, they all live here. I mean, they all are over here all the time. But the government keeps a dangle over them. Like they won't let their whole family come over here at one time. So it's really crazy. So alternative sourcing, yes, it's already in play. Just keep your eyes open. The reason why European products don't do well in the States is the cost of manufacturing in Europe is very expensive. But the quality is very high. I've made for the last 2 decades a mandolin slicer for Home Shopping Network. That's the highest grade quality. They call it German steel for the slicer part. And it's a plastic product. But I can make it in China for $3, but it costs me $20 from Germany. So it gives you an idea. But you don't worry. Just keep looking for sources. How do you buy most of your equipment, your stuff? I mean, what's your source? Do you have an agent in China?
Yeah, basically we contact Variety, madeinchina.com. It's like a portal where you just talk directly to suppliers.
So what I did, I have agents in every country, and you can find them. They're closer to the factory. The problem with China.com, there may be 3 middlemen. Yeah. You never know. But I have to find an agent because an agent marks it up only usually 4 to 5%. and that makes it marginally okay. But they handle the inspection of the product. What kind of stuff do you sell? I'm just curious.
Supplements.
Well, we're going to talk about that shortly. Talked about supplements. You can make the supplements in the United States. Pretty cheap.
I mean, we make them, we capsule them, we just get the powders.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Would you buy his product if you knew the powder came from China? No. Just make it in the States. Unfortunately, I know what he's doing because I've had the same problem. There's certain powders that they just make, nobody else does. But, and by the way, the Chinese people themselves are good. It's the government, you know. It's not them, but same thing here. Yeah. I mean, I deal with I just generated a new hair dryer, and the company is called Kim Clean, one of the largest companies in the world. And from the ownership all the way down, they're great people. But what now has happened, the government's put a communist to be sitting next to the president all the time. And he's influencing his decision making. Anyways, next question. Back here. I won't forget you.
You've kind of skirted around employees a little bit, but
Yeah.
is there a way, how do you find the employees? What kind of vetting process do you have for that? And secondly, after that, after you do decide to pick up an employee, you mentioned treating them well. What are the key areas, or what's the key that you would say are important to the employee, that are the key areas to be able to, treat them well?
So let's just pretend that I own a coffee shop and I need to hire employees. I would go on my social media and run that we're having a hiring fair. And we need to hire 8 new people. I only need 2. And then I flood it. And when they come in, it's really interesting. People are very competitive. So you just let them fight for the job. And for some reason, when I do that, they raise to a level of their own standards. You know, who's been in the military? Who's military trained? Okay. I haven't, but I've been a contractor for the military most of my adult life. I provided products for them. So I was embedded with a Marine troop of 20 men for 20-something years. So I understand the process. I love the military concept of training. They just train you. They actually make you, they break you down in basic training to the point to see who curls up in a ball and just quits, right? You need to do that to employees as well. You know, I put people in crazy conversational things like saying, what happens if somebody comes in here and tries to rob the joint? You know, would you give your life for the business? Knowing that's not what I want them to say, but to watch them. Next thing I say is, what do you consider to be a white lie? So just, again, crazy questions. I also ask them this one question. I go, answer this and answer it real quickly when I ask you. People that live in glass houses should not throw stones. What does that mean to you? Go ahead, somebody out your thought. There's nothing wrong or right. What does it mean? People that live in glass houses. You're like me. He said, don't throw rocks, it'll cause damage. Well, most men say that. Most women would say, don't judge somebody from the speck in their eye. You know, you get the idea. One's judgment, the other one is concrete. So that's the difference between abstract thinking and a concrete thinker, right? So you need to identify. Remember, I showed you guys my 55 mile an hour speed of sound and the speed of light. I did not tell you the one above that. And that's called the speed of Fran. In every organization, you become the next level because you're the creator of that entity. So you actually arise above that. Your job is to find speed and light, guys. The reason why Jeff Bezos is who he is because he hired the right guys. I'm related to him. He's actually a distant cousin. My godmother, my mother and his mother grew up together. And so he's distant. So it's not like, but we did have family reunions when we were kids. And he was odd. Now, most people don't know he was an orphan. He was adopted. Yeah, he's adopted by my I guess you could say my great aunts. And he's as Cuban as, I'm Cuban. He's as Cuban as you go. He's a great family. He's a great family. He's a great guy. But I did get to watch him, and how he hires people is very important to him. He has a very high standard of what he expects you to do. So yes, I try to drive competition into hiring. I fill rooms up with people so I can observe them as they negotiate their way to the top. And then sometimes that person that I said, you're an A, a B, a C, speed of sound, speed of light, whatever you fall, I make notes. Actually, it's 1, 2, 3 for me. It's easier for my staff to know. And usually I say this guy's a, 55-mile-an-hour guy, but you know what? With a little bit of nurturing, I bet you we can get him to be the speed of sound, but it's a 5-year plan. And then when we go to hire him, we tell him, hey, you know what? You've got a lot of potential, but you're going to have to commit to learn this trade or learn this stuff. Go back to school and, provide, you're welcome to take, you could, leave early if you have to. We kind of have I work with their schedule. I made a promise years ago to all my employees that they can go to family functions like baseball games, but they got to make up their time. So what it created is an interesting organism that they cover for each other. I don't know about it. It just has to fall in to their covering their full-time jobs. I don't have many hourly employees. Everything I try to do is so it's easy for them to calculate their finances. I put them all on salary with benefits, with a profit sharing, with bonuses that come out when I have a good time, they have a good time. And the truth is that if an owner of a business is not sharing profits with its employees, you don't think the accountant is going to be saying, hey, he's done really well and he's not paying their, it does trickle. They hear it. All of a sudden you buy yourself a new car, but you haven't given anybody a raise in 3 years. You don't think it builds animosity? So if I give myself a gift, guess what? All of them get a gift. And they go, and it just keeps that resentment. I've learned that resentment's been and it's the devil. I mean, that's how the devil sneaks in, And sometimes I got to give where they haven't earned it because the optics, but I then at that point hope that God deals with them for that. But it's a very interesting balance. But anytime you give to an employee, they should have earned it. But they're well worth it. I got lots of stories of giving to them and then watching them do good things with it. And then others. I always encourage my employees. I say, if you're here in 5 years and you haven't bettered yourself and you haven't progressed, I've done something wrong. I sometimes help employees find other jobs because, they just don't fit. I don't like to end things poorly. Because when you end things poorly, the world is too small. You will bump into them. So I fire them usually personally. And I do it nicely. They like it when I fire them. But they don't like it when they're called. Everybody knows, you're going to see Fran? You're going to see his office? And they're like, uh-oh. And then when he leaves my office, they go, I didn't get fired. So, I've had some interesting shenanigans. Anyways, hire people, promote it. Facebook Marketplace is great. I don't hire usually anybody that I know personally, that knows my inner circle of friends, because they're going to use that against you. They think that they'll have a get out of jail card, and they'll make it uncomfortable for you, Observe. They hire new employees. I have a 90-day hiring policy. Everybody's at 1099 for the first 90 days. They don't receive any benefits till the 91st day. It's almost like a ceremony. They come into my office, I go, you've served your 90 days, you're now an employee, take your shirt off, let's brand you with my average employee is 24 years. Yeah. I've retired out a lot of guys. Yeah. I just hired back a guy that started out with me when I was 19 years old, my first employee number 1. Came back to work. He's in his 80s. He's a phone guy. This guy's awesome. All right, next question.
Yeah. Going back to the silver question.
Yeah.
It seems like you emphasized buy 1 ounce at a time? Is there some
My liking.
legality?
My liking.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you can, if you can afford,
I do 10.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, the bigger the quantity, easier to keep maintained. Yeah.
Well, I do 11.
I like to do a big brick. It is heavy. Isn't it interesting how heavy silver is? And gold is heavy as well. It's really interesting. Yeah. There are other precious metals you could also, but you can't. When you go to sell it, it's going to be really hard.
That was too. And the same houses buy it back.
Right.
You go to those.
Yeah. So, a friend of mine. Yeah. Actually, selling it off market usually you do better. You know how silver's. So let's pretend right now, I wanted to sell silver. What is the spot price for silver? I asked my phone. Yeah. Spot price for silver. Let's see. Spot price for silver. $30. Over. Yeah. Yeah.
On the web for stock price for silver $30. Check it out.
It's huge. Huge. You guys know about the Truth About Cancer? You guys follow them at all? Ty's a really close friend of mine. Ty Bollinger. Great guy. Get him out here. Let's bring him out here. He's a great friend of mine. He's a great guy. Oh my gosh, I love him. And his wife is wild. They're great people. They won the Truth About Cancer, the truth about vaccines. This poor guy, they tried to kill him. You got to meet this guy. Oh, I love him. He's such a great guy. Him and I talk about silver. Yeah. Yeah, he was, yeah. Rio Vacant Tour. Just Ty Bollinger, just an amazing guy. But anyways, we talk about silver as well. But the problem is when you go ahead, he also bought a lot of it, like I have. The problem is when you go to sell it, you're gonna pay. If that's spot price, right? I'm gonna have to sell it for about 10 to 15% below spot price. Yeah. He paid spot. That's unusual, but it can happen. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a relationship. But who is it? The guy at the. Oh, there you go. Oh, wow. That's great to know. It's rare. It's very rare where I live. But now, what people do to find silver, they go to estate sales and they buy silver, like jewelry and stuff, and melt it down. Yeah, but you got to melt it down. If you haven't built a kettle to melt precious metals, you haven't lived. It is so much fun. I take cans, like soda cans, and practice in it. It's just fun. Yeah, it's crazy hot, and you can make molds and things, but it's just fun stuff to do. Because I think that one day those skills may come in handy. So I'm ready for Armageddon because I just know what's really going on. The level of things I've seen, Pastor knows, we're just prepared. Yeah, absolutely. He invests in lead. That's very funny. I have a 55-gallon drum of 22 bullets. I believe that'll be equivalent to $1 a bullet. Am I right? That's the best ammo for killing small game.
What's funny is I have ammunition that I have no weapons for.
There you go.
And I'm just hanging on for currency.
It is exactly. Again, I look at cash as a commodity. I don't worship any of it because it's good. Yeah. Put it aside. Boom. It's funny. I'm about to order a ton of dry food. 50-year-old shelf life. I just got the urge. I got the urge the other day. I don't know why. I'm just going to do it. I have some of it, but not as much. That's right. That's true. I wonder, right? Well, people know me, so they're gonna. But I've got a water filtration. I can purify water where I live, so everybody kind of knows it. So I doubt I'll be attacked that way. But I live in the country. Everybody knows everybody, and we're all armed. I'm more scared of gosh, what you guys went through, during COVID. The guy that. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, that's a good. Yeah. So because I was part of the White House's emergency response team for COVID-19, I still get these emails, and they didn't turn it off. And they're quite comical. They're about like the flu. There is a virus out there right now that 60% fatal. Now, I don't believe in, what do you call it, it's conspiracy theories. But this one's kind of interesting. They expect in September to release this in the public. I hope it does. I hope it's not true, but it is not beyond them, as we know, right? So that's why I say, stop infrastructure. Remember, the first time around, they did not imagine that it would shut everything down in the world.